Chapter 1080. The winner takes it all. The emperor staggered out of the imperial study, lonely and dejected. Your Majesty, but, say no more. I have always been a freeloader my entire life. Without the retired emperor, I could never save Tianyu Kingdom. The emperor had always been hiding behind someone's back. He could never fight in the front line. Had it not been for the retired emperor, he might have lost the throne. Currently, this was the only thing he could do, and hopefully, what he had done could save his life. Seeing that the emperor was so determined, the eunuch did not talk further and only walked quietly after the emperor. In the eldest prince's hall, Shundai had accidentally pricked her finger with the needle. Blood was seeping out of the wound. It made her feel a little uneasy in her heart. She hurriedly put her bleeding finger in her mouth and sucked gently. Your Highness. A servant stumbled into the hall from outside. Just as she walked through the door, she tripped over the door sill and fell to the ground. She crawled up to Shundai, crying, Your Highness, something has happened. Shundai merely frowned. What is making you so nervous? His Highness, the eldest prince, has passed away. The servant's words sounded like a clap of thunder in the clear sky, and it struck right into Shundai's head, causing a buzzing noise in her head. Shundai's face was ghastly pale. Her mind went blank. She wanted to get up from the chair but had accidentally pushed the chair backward, losing her balance, and falling to the ground. Your Highness. Bursting into tears, the servant ran up to Shundai and helped her up from the ground. Shundai's nail dug into the servant's skin. The servant winced in pain but was too afraid to retract her hand. Her eyes were flooded with tears. Simply no one knew the servant was crying out of sadness or pain. What did you just say? How could you curse His Highness? His Highness will never die. Absolutely not. Shundai rebuked. Your Highness, I am telling the truth. It is a news widespread in the palace that both the eldest prince and the retired emperor have passed away. The spirit beasts have entered the palace and it is His Majesty's decree to open the gate. Shundai closed her eyes and shook her head in disbelief. It was such a ruthless fact that she could hardly take it. You are lying. You all are lying. His Highness will never die. What should I do if he is dead? What should I do, me, for extra chapters? Shundai had given her heart to the eldest prince ever since the first time she had met him when she was still a teenager. She knew that the eldest prince had never loved her back. He had married Shundai merely because her father was the Grand Preceptor who had commanded no less respect in Tianyu Kingdom. However, Shundai did not care. As long as she could marry the eldest prince and be by his side for the rest of her life, she was contented. Even if her heart was broken over and over again whenever the eldest prince took a concubine, one after another, she still stayed by him without reservation. Even if she knew that the eldest prince had given his heart to Jiuyue, all Shundai wanted to do was to help the eldest prince win Jiuyue's heart. What did Shundai do wrong? Why was God so cruel to take the eldest prince away from her? Ah! Shundai clutched her head in pain and shouted at the top of her voice. Her pale face was filled with the agony of despair. Your Highness. Who killed him? Shundai lifted her eyes, clenching her fists tightly. Her eyes went blank but her voice was filled with resentment. It was Jiuyue, the servant answered in agony. Chapter 1081. The winner takes it all. IVGU. Yi. Shundai gritted her teeth hard. The eldest prince had loved Jiuyue madly, treated her so well, and had indulged her every whim. This was something that Shundai could never get from the eldest prince. However, Jiuyue was so ruthless and killed the eldest prince. Where is Yulan at now? Your Highness, Princess Yulan has always been staying in Yulan Palace and has never stepped out of it. Alright, I want to go to Yulan Palace. Jiuyue, you have killed the person who loves you the most and the person I love the most. I will make you regret the things that you have done for the rest of your life. Yulan has helped you a lot and did not hesitate to go against his brother because of you, but now, she will lose her life because of you. You will live your whole life full of remorse and agony. Shundai's eyes flickered with viciousness, the corners of her lips curved into a bloodthirsty smile. Perhaps, the servant knew what Shundai was after. She shook violently but was too afraid to stop Shundai. Lowering her head, the servant walked after Shundai, leaving the hall. The palace's gate was opened wide. Countless spirit beasts swarmed into the palace and flooded the entire palace in no time. In a bright yellow robe, the emperor's eyes were locked onto the young lady among the spirit beasts. Astonishment filled his eyes. The fear toward these spirit beasts had overtaken his lust. He did not have other thoughts in his mind besides astonishment. "Maiden Gu, how are you doing?" The emperor stared at Gue with a smile hanging on his lips. "I have no idea that my son has forcibly taken you into the palace. If only I had known this, all these things would never have happened." The emperor was too afraid to call himself an emperor before these people. His voice was kind and gentle in a friendly way of greeting an old friend. "Do you even believe the things that you have just said?" Gue huffed in disdain. The emperor's face stiffened. He heard that Gue had a sharp tongue. It turned out that it was real. The emperor turned his head to look at Feng Ruqing. Naturally, he knew that the spirit beasts were actually taking orders from Feng Ruqing. "Maiden, there must be misunderstandings between us. I am opening the palace's gate to prove my sincerity. Could you please spare my life?" At this time, the entire palace sank into silence. Me for extra chapters. The emperor of Tianyu Kingdom, who stood aloof from the masses and had commanded the greatest respect in the kingdom, had actually bowed down to this maiden, begging her to spare his life. However, simply no one laughed at the emperor as they knew Tianyu Kingdom's situation and the emperor had run out of choices. Misunderstanding? Feng Ruqing walked toward the emperor. A gust of light breeze blew as her sleeves fluttered. With a smile on her face, she looked even more flamboyant. "If we had lost the battle at the palace's gate, would you still think this is a misunderstanding? As the saying went, the winner takes it all." If Feng Ruqing had lost the battle, she might have been held prisoner while the spirit beasts would have been completely wiped out. Startled, the emperor closed his eyes and only opened them after a while. "Power is nothing in this world as strength surpasses all others. I am no match for you all. I surrender. You can take my throne and all I ask is you to spare my life. I would rather live an ordinary life than die aggrieved." Even the lowly cricket and ant clung on to life, let alone human beings. Hence, the emperor did not feel shameful for saying this before everyone. As long as he could stay alive, his reputation was nothing. He could even give up the throne, let alone tainting his own reputation. Chapter 1082. The origin of Kangyu mainland. It is true that you bow down to me now, but it doesn't mean that you will surrender yourself for your whole life. The corner of Feng Ruqing's lips curved into a faint smile. Feng Ruqing would not stay in this place for the rest of her life. If the emperor did not keep his words, all the spirit beasts in the entire forest of the spirit beasts would be massacred. Stunned, the emperor knew what Feng Ruqing was worrying about, and she did have a point. If the emperor's strength improved to a state where he was as strong as the retired emperor, or even stronger than the retired emperor, he would never sit back and do nothing to those who usurp the throne. Thinking of this, the emperor closed his eyes slowly. An overwhelming force dissipated from his body. In an instant, the entire palace was full of spiritual qi. Only after a long while did the emperor open his eyes. Originally, the spiritual qi within the emperor was so overwhelming, just like a vast ocean. Currently, his spiritual qi was just a small pool. "I have dissipated my spiritual qi. Currently, I am only a dark warrior. Is that enough?" It was truly hard to make a decision to degrade from immortal warrior tier to dark warrior tier. Not everyone had the courage to do this. "Maiden, if you still don't trust me, I am willing to eat the 5 venom leaf so I could never make a breakthrough and will remain a dark warrior for my entire life." This was the emperor's bottom line. He would never cripple his cultivation. If his cultivation was crippled, he could no longer stay in this realm. "All right. You eat the 5 venom leaf and leave this palace alone. You don't have to take these people together with you, and you'd better leave in less than 15 minutes. Otherwise, you could never leave." After pondering for a long while, Feng Ruqing nodded slightly. Hearing this, the emperor straightened up and walked toward the palace gate. He did not even spare a glance at the servants and eunuchs who were still standing in the palace. Watching the emperor leaving, he looked extremely lonely and helpless. Falling to the bottom of the chain from being an emperor was like falling to the ground from the sky. Fortunately, the emperor was falling to the ground instead of a deep abyss. If the emperor insisted on going against Feng Ruqing, he would definitely fall into the deep abyss without any chance of survival. Who on earth did not want to stay alive? The emperor was truly fortunate that Feng Ruqing was not a ruthless lady and had spared his life. Seeing that the emperor had left, the eyes of the people in the palace widened, dumbfounded. Then, they turned to look at Feng Ruqing, who was standing in the wind. Currently, Feng Ruqing looked as if she was the real ruler. The spirit beasts behind her were like huge troops, protecting their reigning monarch. If you want to stay, you can do so. However, if you want to leave, I won't stop you. Feng Ruqing brushed her robe, her gaze scanning all the servants and eunuchs who stood fearfully rooted to the spot. Me for extra chapters. Sure enough, if any of you stir up trouble, you are no doubt following the same path as the eldest prince and the retired emperor. Everyone on the spot kneeled down in unison. The emperor had abandoned these people. Sure enough, they must bow down to this lady. Moreover, it was common for a kingdom to change its reigning monarch. The winners took it all. There was nothing that these people could not take. If the emperor chose to die rather than surrender, perhaps some of the devoted and loyal officials would have followed him. Now that the emperor had left everyone behind for his own life, they simply could not find any reason to go against Feng Ruqing. Let's go. Disregarding the people who were still kneeling on the ground, Feng Ruqing walked toward the imperial harem. Gue stepped into the imperial harem, once again, with a different feeling. Back then, she was forcibly brought into the palace by the eldest prince. This time, she was here together with the lady she loved. Naturally, the feeling was different. However, she did not know how Yulan was doing. Chapter 1083, The Origin of Kangyu Mainland. On the way to Yulan Palace, a servant with her head covered in blood rushed out anxiously, her eyes were flooded with tears. Gue could recognize the servant at a glance. The servant was Yulan's close-knit servant. Seeing this, Gue's face was drained of color, her eyes were overcast with dark clouds. Maiden Gu. Seeing Gue, the servant burst into tears. Just now the eldest princess consort has brought a group of people to look for Her Highness, Princess Yulan. I couldn't stop them. Hence, I was thinking of looking for His Majesty. However, I heard that someone else has conquered the palace. Just as the servant rushed out of Yulan Palace, Shundai stomped into the Yulan Palace menacingly with a group of people behind her. This servant wanted to stop them, but Shundai's strength was too strong. Naturally, the servant was no match for her. Fortunately, Shundai only threw this servant out and did not kill her. Hence, this servant quickly ran out to look for help. However, little did she know that the palace had fallen into someone else's hands and simply no one knew where the emperor was. Who else could save the princess? Seeing the servant's anxious face, Gue went pale. She seemed to know what could possibly happen. She quickly rushed to Yulan Palace together with two spirit beasts without informing Feng Ruqing. The two spirit beasts were sent by Feng Ruqing to protect Gue. Hence, their strength was not inferior. Shundai was no match for them. In Yulan Palace, Shundai ruthlessly strangled Yulan. Her eyes were blazing with murderous intent. Yulan's face turned red, a trace of blood could be seen running down from the corner of her lips, falling onto the back of Shundai's hand. Yulan, you have actually let go of Gue and harmed His Highness. He is your brother. Your biological brother. Don't you feel remorseful? Shundai's face was nonchalant. Yulan merely sneered. Biological brother? Yulan and the eldest prince were not from the same mother. She had never treated him as her brother ever since she was little. Yulan was not close to the eldest prince. The only feeling she had toward the eldest prince was fear. Yulan was only afraid of the eldest prince. Hence, Yulan did not feel sad knowing that the eldest prince had passed. On the contrary, she felt grateful. Since the eldest prince had died, there was no need for Yulan to marry young Marquis Zheng. Yulan. Shundai was burning with fury. That slut was actually more important than her own brother. Well, you have asked for all this. Since you are so close to Gue, I will make her regret the things that she has done in her entire life. Me for extra chapters. Before Shundai could finish her words and squeeze Yulan's neck even more forcefully, golden-haired lion pounced on Shundai from behind. Shundai could not help losing her grip. Yulan slid through Shundai's hand and fell to the ground. Yulan's red cheek was restored its natural skin color. Stroking her throat, she coughed incessantly. The desperate gasping for air made Yulan feel as if she had revived from death. She felt immensely relieved now. Outside Yulan Palace, a maiden wearing an emerald green robe rushed into the palace. With refined features, she looked exquisitely beautiful. When she saw Yulan, she regained her calmness. You are back. Thrilled with joy, Yulan raised her head to look at the maiden who was standing at the palace's door. Why do you want to kill Yulan? Gue bit her lower lip and turned to look at Shundai. Chapter 1084, The Origin of the Kangyu Mainland Eye. Without fear, Shundai sneered. Her smile was full of satire and her eyes filled with irony. Gue, you boisterous girl. His Highness was so in love with you. With your poor strength and humble background, who do you think you are to reject him? Why did you hurt the man who loved you the most in this world? His Highness has died because of you. I want you to regret the things that you have done. I want to kill Yulan so you will live a life full of remorse and misery. It was too late. It was a near miss indeed. Shundai only needed a bit more time and Yulan would have been strangled to death so that by the time Gue barged in, she could only see Yulan's remains. By then, she could meet the eldest prince unashamedly in the underworld. Gue's eyes darkened. It turned out that it was actually her fault for not loving the eldest prince back and that the eldest prince who had forcibly brought Gue back to the palace had done nothing wrong for doing so. However, Gue knew that it was a waste of time to continue talking to Shundai, a stubborn lady. Hence, she looked away as she said calmly, since you can't live without him, I will let both of you meet each other in the underworld. You don't have to thank me. Big Lion, kill her. I don't want to see her again. As soon as Gue finished speaking, she turned to look into the sky. Tianyu Kingdom had finally regained its peace. However, simply no one knew whether there would be another ferocious storm hitting the kingdom. Moreover, Gue did not know how they could leave this place. There was a small kingdom located on an island in an unknown mysterious continent. Although this kingdom was small with a low-density population, there was no lack of warriors in the kingdom. More importantly, Haitian Kingdom was the only kingdom in the continent that could live peacefully with the spirit beasts. At this time, a young lady was sitting by the pool, her long slender feet were immersed in the water. Countless fishes could be seen swimming carefreely around her feet, as if kissing her toes. Me for extra chapters. Your Highness, it seems that you have always been surrounded by spirit beasts, birds, or other animals ever since you were little. You are the reason that Haitian Kingdom could live harmoniously with the spirit beasts. A servant, Xiao Ying, who stood behind the young lady could not help exclaiming. The princess had always been kind. Perhaps, the spirit beasts could feel the gentleness from the princess' heart so they liked to be close to her. The princess had even convinced the emperor so Haitian Kingdom could coexist with the spirit beasts. The young lady looked so pure and enchantingly gorgeous, just like an untainted lily. Her smile was full of subtle charm. With a snowy white robe, she looked so ethereal and otherworldly like an immortal. Xiao Ying, the spirit beasts have the right to live in this realm. None of us could deprive them of their lives. Her Highness, I have heard of something. This realm is said to have been created by a god, the 9th Emperor. Xiao Ying grinned. In fact, no one truly knew the origin of this realm previously until 1 year ago. A warrior of Haitian Kingdom found a mausoleum on this island. It was the mausoleum of the 9th Emperor. He also found an ancient book that recorded the origin of this realm. However, Haitian Kingdom had always sealed itself off and never communicated with the world outside. The other kingdoms disliked the kingdom that associated itself with spirit beasts. Hence, they have never kept in with Haitian Kingdom. Chapter 1085, The Origin of Kangyu Mainland Ivy. Hence, other than the people in Haitian Kingdom, no one knew about this. My father told me about this before. The ninth emperor, the god who had created this realm, disappeared after that. However, I have heard of one more thing. The ancient book also recorded everything about the ninth emperor, including her affinity for the spirit beasts. Xiao Ying leaned over as she whispered. The young lady frowned but did not say anything. Rumor has it that Your Highness is the reincarnation of the ninth emperor. Look, this realm has been created for so many years. Apparently, the ninth emperor has passed. Your Highness has a special affinity with spirit beasts, just like the ninth emperor. Isn't it proof that Your Highness is the ninth emperor? The young lady grinned. Xiao Ying, watch your words. Those are rumors. If it turns out that I have nothing to do with the ninth emperor, I will be caught in an awkward predicament. Perhaps the young lady had always treated her servant well. Xiao Ying stamped her foot slightly and was not the slightest afraid that she would enrage the young lady. Young Highness, I speak the truth. Besides Your Highness, no one could get close to the spirit beasts. I am sure that you are the ninth emperor. Startled, the young lady turned her head around to look at the vast azure sky. The corner of her lips slightly lifted. It was great if what the servant said was true. However, there was no proof to the servant's words. Hence, the young lady did not believe it entirely. Even so, the servant's words seemed to beckon the young lady. She lowered her eyes with a faint smile on her face. Xiao Ying, what happened to the young master that I brought back up from the ninth emperor's mausoleum? The mausoleum of the ninth emperors was unearthed a year ago and had titillated countless warriors. However, the people who set off to the mausoleum were all stopped halfway and no one was capable of going further. Burning with curiosity, the young lady too went to the mausoleum. Just as the young lady reached the mausoleum, she found a young master who had lost his consciousness but was not the slightest bit injured. The young master was the most stunning man that the young lady had ever seen. Subsequently, she tasked a few guards to take him back to the palace. As the emperor loved the princess so much, he did not rebuke her for bringing a young master back to the palace. Since then, the young lady had allowed the young master to rest in the palace next to hers. It felt so satisfying every time she looked at the young master. As for why the young lady wished that she was the ninth emperor, just like what Xiao Ying said, it was because the young lady too had secretly read the ancient book. On the last page of the ancient book was a painting of a man with a vertical line on his face. Besides the vertical line, the young master that she brought back looked extremely similar to the painting, as if he was actually the man in the painting. If this young master was the man in the painting, was it proof that he was related to the ninth emperor? Me for extra chapters. If the young lady were the ninth emperor, now that the young lady found the young master in the painting, was she destined to meet him? It was a pity that, although the young lady had an affinity with spirit beasts, similar to the ninth emperor, there was no other proof that she was the ninth emperor. Even if she wished that the rumor was true, she dared not hope for too much. Sure enough, the princess of Haitian Kingdom had no idea that in fact, the ninth emperor had no affinity with spirit beasts. Instead, she had the spirit herbs that the spirit beast could not resist. She could get close to the spirit beasts as those spirit beasts around her were lowly intelligent and spirit beasts with poor strength. As long as humans were willing to get close to these spirit beasts, the spirit beasts too would get close to humans. Moreover, spirit beasts could hardly survive in this realm. Hence, for the lowly intelligent spirit beasts, as long as one showed that she cared for them, earnestly or pretentiously, they would accept it. Naturally, this did not work for the highly intelligent spirit beast. Chapter 1086. The story of Changfeng and the ninth emperor. Your Royal Highness, why are you so worried about a stranger when there are countless talented young men in Haitian Kingdom and you have not accepted any of them? Xiao Ying bit her pink lower lip. She was somewhat puzzled by this young girl's behavior. A coy, gentle, and warm smile formed on the young girl's fair face. Some things have been predestined for good and you won't understand. Xiao Ying, let's go back first, I want to see him. It was as if she had just met him, but it felt like she had known him for a long time and it was hard to meet him again. A man with long black hair and was wearing a white robe like an immortal with unrivaled charm, lay behind the screen inside the luxurious and exquisite palace. He was devastatingly beautiful. His beauty was simply beyond any word expressions. It was as if everything in the world would lose its color in his presence. Chinga! Chinga! Jua! The man's voice was soft and his eyes were still closed. But in his gentle murmur, he seemed to be calling out to his lover. A light breeze came in from the window. The young girl put her hand to one side of her cheek and looked at the handsome man, who was sleeping, with stars in her eyes. Xiao Ying, why would he know my name? Her name was Fu Qingjiu. But she and this young master had never met before, and she had never known him. So, how did he know her name? Xiao Ying sneered and said with disdain, "Princess, you are so outstanding. All the men in the world want to be close to you, and I think this guy is just trying his luck. He only has a handsome face. How can such a gigolo make a good match for you?" There were so many talented young men in Haitian Kingdom. Even if one was not as good-looking as this young master, the one was better in every other aspect. Then, why would the princess want to keep him? Such a gigolo, the best thing that he had was just his stunning face. He was not capable of becoming an imperial prince. Princess Qingjiu smiled as her eyes were focused on the man. I believe that he is not like that and that he is different from other men. He would not approach me because of my status. If she was not a princess of the kingdom, how could those young men of Haitian Kingdom be so crazy over her? But somehow, she had always felt that the man in front of her was different. Me for extra chapters. Besides, like men, women were also attracted to beauty. She had the status and she did not need it for her marriage. Jua, I'm here. Princess Qingjiu wanted to hold the man's hand, but before she could touch his palm, her hand was burned by it. She was shocked and hastily retracted her hand. It was always like this since the man was brought back. No one knew what had happened to him in the mausoleum, but the temperature of his body was too high. Let alone hers, even those physicians whom she had sought out to treat the man could not even touch him. Princess Qingjiu desired to touch his face, to hold his hand, and even to kiss him for a couple of times since, but there was no way she could do that except to just sit next to him and watch him silently. Oh, the only place she could touch was the quilt that covered his whole body. She could not even reach the corner of his coat. Princess. Xiao Ying stomped her foot in anger as she saw the obsession in the princess' eyes. This man is actually scheming. He has purposely fainted in front of the princess and keeps calling her name in his sleep as a way to attract her attention. Chapter 1087. The story of Changfeng and the Ninth Emperor. Either princess was obsessed and bewitched by the man's beauty. If this continued, she had no way to fulfill the promise she had made to the general's son. Xiao Ying, you leave first. I want to keep him company for a while. Princess Qingjiu supported her chin with her hands and stared at the man on the bed. She could not take her eyes away from him, not even for a second. Xiao Ying bit her lower lip and glanced at the handsome man on the bed with her resentful gaze. She then finally turned her head and left. The gentle breeze had lifted the curtain around the bed. The man and Princess Qingjiu were left alone in this quiet room. Princess Qingjiu smiled. Her eyes looked as gentle as the sea. Although I still don't know your name, but your Jua will always be by your side. Perhaps they were destined to be together from the moment they met. In a sea of barren sands, the color of fresh blood filled the entire sky. The man's silver-colored hair was wavy like a sea and a vertical line had appeared between his eyebrows. A gush of blood burst from his chest, staining his lapel red. But the long sword in his hand was thrust hard into the ground. Blood dribbled from the corners of his mouth. His handsome face was even more stunning under the sunlight. Nan Changfeng. A group of skilled masters, standing in front of the man, were towering over him. They looked so furious, and their eyes seemed to contain a vicious glint as they stared fiercely at the man in white who looked like an immortal in front of them. The man was seriously injured, but he remained calm. The silver line between his eyebrows had revealed an enchanting light. A person who could blend the immortal vibe with the charm perfectly but not make anyone feel weird about his look, but rather such a harmony combination. Nan Changfeng, you think that you are the Ninth Emperor's man and that you can be so daring to ride roughshod over others by relying on the Ninth Emperor. I tell you, even with the Ninth Emperor backing you up, we will never let you go. This damned bastard had hunted them down and killed countless skilled masters from their clan, and yet they did not even know why he had done so. The man's face was expressionless. Half a month ago, your son insulted Jua as a woman who should not be in charge of the world, and he had humiliated Jua badly. Do you think I should spare you? The middle-aged man's body trembled with anger. Was this the reason why Nan Changfeng had chased them down and wiped them out even though he was seriously injured? Is it so ridiculous? You've killed so many skilled masters of my clan just because of a joke my son made? Me for extra chapters. Nan Changfeng, don't cross the line. My son had only just said a word, nothing more than that. Just a word. To me, I will not allow anybody to humiliate her, even with just a word. The man raised his cold eyes. His chest was already soaked with blood, but he seemed untroubled by it. The murderous intent was the only thing that remained in his eyes. Hunting these people down through half the continent was nothing. Even if it meant, to the end of the earth, or till the world had been reborn, he would never let these people go. The middle-aged man was furious. Nan Changfeng, you have brought this upon yourself. You are not even the 9th emperor. Do you think I'm seriously afraid of you? Yes, I can't beat you, but it's not that easy for you to kill me. Since you want me dead so badly, then I'll drag you along for this. Boom. A powerful force surged out from the middle-aged man's body and even the air had become a little chaotic. His whole body swelled up like a leather ball. These days, he was really fed up. This bastard had started slaughtering at his base camp. He had then finally managed to escape with a group of people, but this wounded lunatic had chased after him through half the continent. Chapter 1088. The story of Changfeng and the 9th emperor. He would not run away again, and even if he died, he had to take Nan Changfeng with him. Suddenly, a loud laugh came from the sky, causing all the raging power in the entire sky to disappear. Heavenly Falcon Gates Master Liu Yang, all of you know that Changfeng is my man, then who has allowed you to hurt him? Poof! A sharp horn suddenly pierced through Liu Yang's body as he stared at it with his eyes widened. He lifted his head stiffly and saw a figure in a red robe in the sky. He could not tell if the figure was a man or a woman. A demon mask covered her entire face. Her fine black hair floated around like a waterfall and her red robe was like a fire. Even though it was impossible to see her face, she was still stunning and so domineering. In just a split second, the bodies of the Heavenly Falcon Gates men had exploded and turned into a mist of blood before disappearing from this world. Only the 9th emperor and Nan Changfeng were left in the entire world. She lifted her hand and took the mask off of her face, revealing a stunningly beautiful and gorgeous face. Changfeng, you're such a troublemaker out there. The man replied after a while, those people have humiliated you. Then why did you let yourself get hurt? When someone insults me behind my back, you can come back and tell me, and I will come after them. After all, the world has been claiming that I am a bully, so I'd just live up to that, and no one can talk about me behind my back again. I just couldn't control myself. He could not hold back from anything that was related to her. The 9th emperor smiled and lifted her hands to touch the man's handsome face. Little Changfeng, back then, you were saved by me, so you must listen to me. In the future, you have to learn to complain like those girls in my backyard. Come and tell me if anything happens, and I'll track them down. The man was speechless. Those girls in my backyard are pampered and spoiled. Initially, I had brought you back so you could help us to take care of our daily life. I didn't expect that, you would only go around causing trouble for me, and that in the end, I had to follow you and protect you. If you want to repay me, why don't you go back and warm my bed and let me sleep with you? After a long silence, the man said, I am strong and I don't need protection. We will talk about this again once you can beat me up. Little Changfeng, I'm hungry, let's go home. My girls are waiting for me. I'm afraid that they will turn the sky over if I don't go back now. On the bed, Nanxian kept his eyes closed and fell into a deep sleep. These things had always appeared as bits and pieces in his dream, over and over again. From Nan Changfeng's initial acquaintance with the 9th emperor, and until the end, when he died in her arms. Me for extra chapters. Nanxian felt sympathy each time he saw the grief in the woman's eyes, as if everything he had experienced in the dream had actually happened to him before. In the sea of sand, within the dreamland, again. This time, the sky was even more beautiful than before, as if it had been stained red with blood. All was red-colored under the gloom of the haze. Countless skilled masters had spread out all over the sky, looking downward at the two men with their cold faces. The man's white robe was stained with blood. He stretched out his blood-soaked hand, trembling, and caressed the woman's face. A red bloody mark of 5 fingers appeared on her cheek. "Jua, I'm sorry, I won't be able to do your laundry and cook for you in the future. I can't warm your bed anymore. I can't tell you a bedtime story, either. And I won't be able to accompany you." Chapter 1089, The Story of Changfeng and the Ninth Emperor 4-inch Changfeng. The girl in red held the man's hand, her voice was trembling. "I have saved your life, so if I didn't let you die, you're not allowed to die. I haven't slept with you yet, who has allowed you to die? You must hold on for me. I'll find a way to save you, trust me. You have to trust me." The man chuckled with a softness in his gaze. "Jua, do you believe in fate? Our fate is not over yet. If we can be reincarnated, I will definitely reincarnate before you. In this way, I can speed up my cultivation and be stronger than you. In this life, you have always protected me, so in the next life, I will protect you for the rest of your life. Jua, but I can't let you go. Without me, are you going to live on dry food again? And wear the same outfit again in spring every year? What would you do without me taking care of you?" Jua and those girls in her backyard, they could not do anything, not even help in hiring some kitchen maids. So every time they would only purchase a lot of dried food to feed themselves. Without him, was his Jua going to live like that again? How could he let her do that? But he had no other way to accompany her anymore. The man's hand fell slowly as his breath became weaker. He looked worried and the vertical lines between his brows had faded. But he did not regret it. Whatever he had done for her, he would never regret it. As long as she could live without any danger, and even if it meant that he needed to give away his whole life, it was worth it too. The girl wrapped her arms around his body, tightly, as if to hold him into her bone and blood until the man was utterly out of breath. Suddenly, she lifted her head and looked at the skilled masters who were scattered throughout the sky. Her eyes gleamed with a fury that could destroy the entire world. "You have killed my love. You have killed him. He's dead now. I'll bury the whole world buried alongside him." While holding the man in her arms with one hand, the young girl rose into the sky and rushed toward the enemies. With her natural strength, she was not too weak to be defeated by enemies. However, she was unable to bring out her full strength since she had someone in her arms. After all, she still refused to leave him behind. Even if she was so severely injured, she would not let his body suffer from even a little bit more damage. Me for extra chapters. He had wondered how many times the scenes like this had happened in his dream world. And that battle, which lasted for half a month, had not ended yet. The girl's despair and grief were all vented and had turned into murderous intent. When he first saw this scene in his dream, Nanxian had tried to stop her, but his hand had penetrated into the girl's body and turned to nothingness. He stopped making any move as the dream became more intense. But each time it happened, the girl's grief made his heart feel like it had been stabbed hard. He wanted to take her into his arms and never let her face with such pain and danger again. In that battle, all the mainland skilled masters who had come to besiege them were destroyed. The Ninth Emperor, too, had used up all her strength and collapsed beside him. She grasped his hand tightly. Whenever the battle was over, Nanxian still could not tell whether the Ninth Emperor was dead or alive. Then, he would start from the beginning, over and over, from the moment Nan Changfeng and the Ninth Emperor met for the first time until they became friends who protected each other. He would be reincarnated in the dream world, again and again. More importantly, the Ninth Emperor's face was identical to Feng Ruking's. She would always appear in front of him and made it impossible for him to distinguish whether it was Feng Ruqing or the Ninth Emperor. Chapter 1090, Tragic Qingzhou Itinua Kingdom. In the bustling streets of the Marquis city, Ah Wang lifted its head and puffed its chest up like a monarch as it led a group of spirit beasts while looking down at the commoners below it. Over the years, every kingdom had preached the cruelty and viciousness of the spirit beasts, causing the commoners to fear and hate the spirit beasts deeply. Therefore, all people had stayed behind their closed doors after seeing these spirit beasts roaming on the streets. They were afraid that these ferocious spirit beasts would pounce on them. The people would never forget the battle at the city gate recently. And no one forgot how these spirit beasts had brutally torn apart the warriors of the Marquis city. However, after a long time, the people of the Marquis city saw that the spirit beasts did not show any signs of killing, and finally, someone dared to come forward. Even so, the person only dared to look at it from a distance, not close up. "Mother, it's a big doggy." Children did not have the same fear of spirit beasts as adults. They were simple-minded and more animal-loving. From the one side of the street, a girl suddenly ran toward Ah Wang, who was wandering down the street. "Come back here." The child's mother's face changed dramatically. The mother quickly reached out to grab the girl, but she ran too fast and was soon in the middle of the street. Just then, a carriage came swiftly, stirring the dust from the ground. The one who drove the carriage was a middle-aged man who clearly saw a child running into the middle of the street, but he still did not stop. Instead, he drove the carriage faster and ran over the child. The girl's mother was so frightened that her face turned pale. But as an ordinary person without any power, she did not have the strength to stop such a fast-moving carriage at all. Suddenly, a yellow figure rushed over. The wolfhound was seen rushing toward the girl. It caught the girl's dress with its mouth and rolled on the ground before dodging the swiftly passing carriage. Logically, with Ah Wang's strength, it did not need to do so. In an instant, it could crush the carriage easily, but the girl would be injured by it. So it used the most foolish method and even used its body to keep the girl firmly in its arms. The girl's mother's heart finally calmed. She went up quickly and took her baby girl from Ah Wang's arms, but she was still shaken. "Stop him." As soon as Ah Wang finished ordered that, all the spirit beasts had already rushed forward. The powerful aura had frightened the middle-aged man who was driving the carriage. He quickly pulled hard and stopped in the middle of the street. Me for extra chapters. In the meantime, many people started having the courage to go out. They watched this scene with shock on their faces. Had the wolf not rushed out and rescued the girl, she would have been run over by the carriage. That group of people knew that someone had appeared in the middle of the street. Not only did the carriage not slow down, but it had charged forward even faster. As humans, the passengers of the carriage did not value human life. Instead, the spirit beasts, who were seen as ferocious by humans, had saved them. At this moment, everyone felt conflicted in their hearts. The ideas about the ferocity of the spirit beasts that the kingdom had instilled in them were so strong that they had grown up thinking that the spirit beasts were disastrous. Whatever that was happening now was beyond their perceptions. Everyone was beginning to reflect on whether what they had always believed to be the truth was actually the truth. Those skilled masters of the kingdom claimed that spirit beasts were ferocious by nature and that the spirit beasts had always taken human life for granted. It was as if those so-called skilled masters had never put the lives of ordinary people at risk. Chapter 1091. Tragic Qing Zhuai. It seemed to them that these spirit beasts were more reliable. Who had just stopped my carriage? A young master stepped out of the carriage. His face had turned violently red when he saw that it was a wolfhound that had just given the order. Another talking beast. And why did he think of the word another? The young man looked at the azure snake that he was pinching at in his hand. His eyes narrowed. But that wolfhound was obviously different from the azure snake. He could feel the strength of the wolfhound and it was not something that he could resist against. Help! The azure snake had spun around and sobered up as its neck was pinched hard by the young master. It could not catch its breath and it cried out. Help! Help me! The beasts saw the young master pinching the spirit beast that was almost unable to speak anymore. It made them snarl with a glint of ferocity in their eyes. Ah Wang had stopped them because it did not have patience with this group of people who had always trampled on human life. Even the spirit beasts did not kill each other, so why did these humans become so insensitive to their own kind? It loved humans. Even though it had been wounded countless times, it still believed in humanity, especially those adorable and innocent children. Ah Wang had never thought that these humans were still recklessly enslaving spirit beasts. Give it to me. Ah Wang arrogantly raised its head and puffed its chest out. The disdain in its eyes stung the young man's eyes, making him somewhat burn with rage. Isn't this the Marquis city of Qianyu Kingdom? Why are there so many spirit beasts dominating the humans over here? Where is the Emperor of Qianyu Kingdom? Wouldn't it be the same as Haitian Kingdom that has willingly befriended the spirit beasts? Pooh. Somebody among the crowd spat on the street. We'd rather be with the spirit beasts than you, hypocrite. You clearly saw the little girl just now and you didn't even stop but instead, have tried to run over her. You do not care about human life. It would be a disaster if you rule this world. These unscrupulous voices had caused the young master to feel stifled and he had almost pinched the life out of the azure snake. It was this snake that has blocked our way and delayed our business. It can't even afford to pay for this by its useless life. The azure snake in his hands was on the verge of tears. While you are talking, could you put me down first? You might choke me to death. Sob. I miss my master, and I miss the princess, woof. Ah Wang was furious and pounced at the young master. Me for extra chapters. A powerful force was spread out violently, like a dark cloud covering the sky. The young master who was trapped under this force started having difficulties in breathing so much so that his face had turned pale. Get lost. You get lost. Ah. Ah Wang pounced and took a hard bite on the young master's arm until its teeth sank into the flesh. As soon as he loosened his hands, the azure snake fell to the ground. The azure snake cried out in pain. I'm safe, sob. I'm finally safe. I've got my life back. Master, the human world is horrible. I will never leave you again in the future, sob. When compared to this human, my master and the princess are much better. They did not actually kill it when they spoke about making it into snake soup. But just now, it had almost become snake soup. A few spirit beasts had come and surrounded the azure snake as they were silently comforting it. No one knew better than them the joy of being saved from the death, and this little azure snake had obviously suffered a severe shock before it could cry out happily. Chapter 1092. Tragic Qing Zhuai. Wang glanced coldly at the young master whose arm was dripping with blood. This is a lesson for you. Next time, if you dare to bully any spirit beasts again, I'll just bite your neck off. Get lost. From the moment those spirit beasts appeared, the coachman had already found a place to hide. It was only after Ah Wang had dropped the words that he and the young master quickly rolled their asses toward the city gate, and even the young master had no time to deal with the wound on his arm. This wolfhound was a Tier 7 spirit beast. Even his father could not beat a Tier 7 spirit beast. If he did not run away first, he would definitely die. Sob. Qing Zhu burrowed its small head into the fleece of a rabbit and said with a snotty nose and tears in his eyes, "Thank you for that. Thank you so much. Something has happened to my master, so I'm going to look for the princess. When I meet her, my princess will definitely repay your kindness with a divine spirit fruit and you can take as much as you want." Although it was not obsessed with the divine spirit fruit, from the reactions of those spirit beasts including the snow wolf, it could see that the divine spirit fruit was so precious to them. If the princess knew these spirit beasts had saved it, she would not be miserly about the divine spirit fruit. Ah Wang stood straight, proudly, unlike a typical dog. Little azure snake, our master has been low on spirit beasts. If you come to my master's, she can help you to find whoever you want. Qing Zhu froze for a moment. Its eyes darted about. Your master? Is there anyone else in this world who could tame so many spirit beasts besides the princess? Our master is very kind as she treats the spirit beasts extremely well. Would you like to consider defecting to our master? A kind master? Qing Zhu was thrilled. Its own master was too heavy-handed and had always threatened to make it into snake soup. Should it find another master and abandon him? No, no, no. Qing Zhu hastily shook his head. How could it betray its master when he was still in danger? That was a no-no. Did your master trick you into this? And so as the princess. She had tricked countless spirit beasts with the divine spirit fruit. It would not believe that there were still people in this world who could keep so many spirit beasts just by using their charm. Ah Wang was furious as it raised its wolf paw and slapped Qingzhu. Little azure snake, I was kind enough to save you and you go on to insult my master. My master is perfect regardless of her character and temperament, she is kind and sincere. She never steals and tricks any spirit beast. She is the most gentle woman in the world that treats spirit beasts as if they were her own children. Qingzhu stroked its beating heart with its hand. Me for extra chapters. What should it do? It was tempted. Or it could find the princess and give the information to her before slipping away from her. Its master never needed it anyway. Fine, then I'll go with you to meet your master. Qingzhu's heart was full of joy. It had imagined the scene of being held and caressed in the arms of its new master after it was out of the fire pit. That was a kind of care that it had never enjoyed before. Big doggy, Ah Wang was about to leave when a small hand came up to him, and the little girl's voice was gentle and soft. Will you come out again in the future? Ah Wang stopped as it turned to the little girl. After it saw the little girl's expectant look, it nodded. I will. Ah Wang's gaze could not help but soften a little after seeing this soft and innocent child. Chapter 1093, Tragic Qingzhu Ivy. It remembered back when its former master was pregnant. At that time, it was already anticipating the arrival of the little master. It loved children, especially the human's little child. It had planned out everything and would watch over the little master for the rest of its life. But the former master disliked it because she was scared that the bugs inside its body would spread to her child, and she thought that the wolf would hurt her child after it was born. But how could it possibly go and hurt its little master? Later, it had been abandoned and lived as a stray wolf. It entered the beast forest and met Feng Ruqing. Since then, it had gradually forgotten the pain from the past and had started a new life. Okay, big doggy. I'll meet you here tomorrow. The little girl smiled sweetly. This time, her mother did not stop her from approaching these spirit beasts again. Ah Wang's heart warmed. The little girl's smile was like sunshine that could completely heal the scars in its heart. Come on, let's go. Qingzhu was getting impatient. Only then, Ah Wang turned around and hurriedly led the group of spirit beasts behind it to leave the city. The street was quiet again, but today's scene had made the hearts of the people tremble a bit. The belief that spirit beasts were dangerous that once existed had been destroyed and could no longer be rebuilt. Along the way, Qingzhu was filled with anticipation. It was eager to know what kind of person its next master would be. She must be so gentle. At least not in the same way as its master now, who had always threatened it so that it would hook up with the female snake. The more it thought about it, the more excited it became. It felt that it had finally arrived at its bright future. However, the moment Qingzhu stepped into the back garden with Ah Wang, a figure was vaguely visible within the pavilion in the back garden. Wait a minute. This figure, why is it so familiar? It seemed like it had seen it from somewhere before. Oh, yes, Feng Ruqing liked to wear red robes and the vermilion hairpin on the head was too similar to the one that Feng Ruqing had often carried. So, that might be what made it look familiar. Ah Wang, you're back. Inside the pavilion, the young girl slowly turned around. A stunningly beautiful face appeared in Qingzhu's eyes. It made its heart stop beating and its whole body stiffened. No. Me for extra chapters. It was not the robe or the vermilion hairpin that made him feel familiar, but the so-called master of the wolfhound was actually Feng Ruqing. Such nonsense kindness. Nonsense sincerity. Damn it. Goodbye. Qingzhu forgot about the state preceptor who was still asleep and had even forgotten the hardship that it had faced just to find Feng Ruqing. Now it had only one thought, to get out of this hell. Just as Qingzhu turned around and tried to escape, a surprised voice came from behind it. Its entire body trembled. It became so cold that even its blood turned cold. Qingzhu. Qingzhu stiffly turned its head, seemingly like a machine, and a smile that was even worse than crying appeared on its face. Princess, it's been a long time. Qingzhu, why are you here? The young girl asked with a slight smile. Qingzhu was shuddered, trying so hard to keep its smile in check. Oh, it was this big wolfhound that told me just now that its owner was a gentle, kind, sincere, and friendly person. I was curious about that, so I followed it, and the moment I saw the princess, I was not surprised anymore. No one would be this good and perfect, except the princess. Feng Ruqing was speechless. Chapter 1094. Nanxian's whereabouts. Why did she have a sudden urge to eat snake soup? Then why did I see you trying to escape? Feng Ruqing put her arms around her chest. She smiled and looked down at the little azure snake on the ground. Qingzhu stiffened and hesitated for a moment. Because I remember that I haven't bathed for almost a year and I was afraid that the stink would blow your head off. So after I saw you, I planned to take a bath first, then I will come back to see you again. Is it true? Feng Ruqing narrowed her eyes teasingly. Qingzhu almost cried, but it was still wearing a smile on its face. Imagine the smile of a snake, how weird that would be. Princess, I swear, my heart is only for you. Okay, I'll pass all these words to the state preceptor. Qingzhu wanted to cry out this time and it felt that it could no longer escape the fate of being snake soup. It's okay. Feng Ruqing had stopped teasing it when she saw that Qingzhu was on the verge of crying. She smiled and asked, How did you get here? Did the state preceptor send you to me? Where did he go again? Qingzhu froze and it suddenly burst out crying as it had remembered the purpose it had come for Feng Ruqing. Princess, the state preceptor and I went to a mausoleum where the master of that mausoleum was called the 9th emperor or something. I don't know why the state preceptor had suddenly passed out just after he opened the gate. I dragged my master out of the mausoleum with all that I have. But, before I had time to take him away, he was picked up by some humans. I hid when I saw those humans, that's why I didn't get caught. I have been wandering around for more than half a year to save my master before I finally met you. Princess, will those people turn my master into a human meat bun? Sob, I feel like I'll never see my master again. Qingzhu cried out loudly as if it had suffered a lot. It also wanted to talk about how hard it had been these days, but before it could speak, Feng Ruqing had picked up its tail and dragged it out like a dead snake. I don't know whether the state preceptor will be a human meat bun or not. But, you will be a bowl of snake soup soon. The young girl's voice was cold and expressionless. Her eyes darkened. Me for extra chapters. Why? Qingzhu cried pitifully. It is not easy for a snake like me wandering alone in this strange world. Don't you know what I've been through these days? A female snake had molested me. A human took me away and had almost turned me into snake soup. It had suffered so much, but the princess did not even care for it. Feng Ruqing's footsteps did not stop as she said, You should have told me earlier about the state preceptor. Wang, you will stay here. Guee and the second uncle need someone to protect them. I will leave with the other spirit beasts. Snake soup, where is the state preceptor? Qingzhu was so scared that it had turned even greener before it said in fear, Princess, my name is Qingzhu. It's the same name you have chosen for me, and I really love it. Where's the state preceptor? Snake soup, don't make me ask for the third time. Qingzhu stiffened again. Haitian Kingdom. Princess, I still prefer you to call me Qingzhu, no snake soup. Chapter 1095. Nanxian's whereabouts. 2 Your name will be snake soup until you find the state preceptor. Feng Ruqing carried its tail and walked out of the back garden with a cold face, leaving only Xiao Qing's tears in the air, with endless heartache and grievances. It always felt like it was jumping into a fire pit, and could never climb out of it. In the imperial study room of Haitian Kingdom, Princess Qingzhou bit her lip. Her formerly innocent face was now covered with a resolute, determined expression. Father, I don't want to marry anyone, especially those so-called talented young masters within Haitian Kingdom. She had no interest in any of them. Fu Yu frowned and sighed helplessly. Qingzhou, you are not young anymore. Father will not interfere with your marriage, but at least the person you marry must be from Haitian Kingdom, do you understand? You may choose one of those people to be your husband, but that man of unknown origin can never be your husband. Qingjiu stiffened as she clenched her fists unconsciously. Her bright and cold eyes were irrepressible. Father, I will decide on my marriage. Even if he has nothing, as long as we love each other, I have no fear of being with him. If I don't love a person, even if he was the strongest man in the world, I will not marry him. In her lifetime, she had been looking for a person who could touch her heart. She would not listen to her father's words and simply chose a young talent from Haitian Kingdom to marry. Qingjiu. Fu Yu's face darkened. I don't mind if it was anyone else. But I heard that the young man has been unconscious and may not be able to regain consciousness for the rest of his life. You are taking care of him now, and will you do that for the rest of your life? Princess Qingjiu smiled bitterly. If he really can't wake up for the rest of his life, then I will keep him with me forever. Father, I won't regret the decision that I have made. She turned slowly and left the study room without saying anything more. Qingjiu. Fu Yu stood up. There was a faint gleam in his eyes. I don't care. In half a month, I'll be hosting a flower banquet. You must come and choose one of those young talents as your husband. I have pampered you and indulged you for decades, and I will not listen to you this time. He had allowed Qingjiu to bring back a strange man. And he had allowed that man to stay in the side chamber of Qingjiu's pavilion. He had never stopped Qingjiu from visiting him regularly, and he had never bothered them. But he forbade this man to marry his daughter. There was no need to rush Qingjiu's marriage, but her daughter could not just find a commoner to marry. That man was odd in every way, and he did not have any trace of spiritual qi in his body. Me for extra chapters. He knew that Qingjiu would hate him for this, but he must let her marry somebody else. On this matter, he could not pamper her as he usually would. The side chamber of Qingjiu's pavilion was more luxurious than the other main chambers. 2 servants were standing outside the chamber. After seeing that Princess Qingjiu had walked in, they both bent down with respect to the princess. Respects to your royal highness. Qingjiu waved her hands, asking the servants to open the doors of the chamber, and slowly stepped into it. Dazzling scents diffused through the whole room and a light breeze was stirring the bed curtains. The man on the bed slept peacefully. Even with his stiffened face, he looked stunningly beautiful. Qingjiu had never met someone who was as handsome as him in her life before. Chapter 1096. Nanxian's whereabouts. He was as handsome as an immortal, devastatingly stunning. But it gave off an unrealistic feeling, as if he was someone that she could never touch. Young master, Qingjiu sat down at the head of his bed, quietly staring at him. She sighed. My father wants to choose a husband for me. I know he is serious this time. There was no answer except silence. She sighed again. I hope you will wake up soon so that father would have no more to say about this. The man in the bed showed no signs of waking up. He looked calm and composed. Qingjiu reached out, trying to hold the man's palm. But the thought of the burning heat had made her hand stiffened. She knew that touching him would put her in pain, but she insisted on doing so. Young master, my father has always been kind to me. Besides, I'm not a snob, so I will accept you as who you are. As long as you can wake up, father won't force me to marry another person. My happiness depends on you now. Please wake up as soon as possible, okay? This man was so handsome, like an immortal. He seemed like a good-tempered man, who was as gentle as water. To her, it was such a treat to gaze at his stunning face. Time seemed to have stopped. The sunlight was shining through the window and filtering down onto her innocent face. The young girl was even more beautiful when she smiled. She had the beauty of a virgin with a face like a peach blossom. As usual, she would put her hand to one side of her cheek and stare at the man on the bed silently. In the meantime, a huge sea turtle had reached the edge of the island. There was also a group of spirit beasts following the turtles. Foam Ruching held the azure snake's tail and moved down from the turtle's body. She gazed coldly at the small country that stood not far away and asked with a calm face, Xiao Qing, are you sure this is the place? Qingzhu nodded as its eyes were teary. I don't know who has picked my master up. I was going to follow them, but those people were too fast. I believe that those people must be from this Haitian kingdom because I heard that Haitian kingdom doesn't have any contact with other kingdoms. Feng Ruching turned to the beasts behind her with her hand under her chin and said, "All of you go find a place to hide and wait for me. I'll make a discreet inquiry about the situation of the state master first, then I'll inform you." Her goal was too obvious as she had brought so many spirit beasts into the city. It was inconvenient to look for Nanxian if she brought all of them along with her. Qingzhu grimaced. "Princess, can I stay with them and wait for you here, me for extra chapters?" A cold gaze pierced into its eyes, causing Qingzhu to shut its mouth immediately. A smile played at the corners of Feng Ruqing's lips. "What do you think?" Qingzhu's entire body stiffened. It forced a smile as it looked up at Feng Ruqing. "Actually, I'm not planning to stay because I'm afraid of Princess. I just want to be parted from you to search for my master." "Oh, that won't be necessary. You're not very helpful, but you can at least seduce the female snakes and gain some information from them." Qingzhu was speechless. Did it have an alternative so that it could leave? Feng Ruqing held the snake tail and walked toward the city gate of Haitian Kingdom instead, ignoring the sorrow in Qingzhu's eyes. 2 guards were guarding at the city gate. Once they saw that Feng Ruqing was coming to them, they quickly extended their long swords and blocked her way. "Stop! Who are you?" Feng Ruqing stopped walking. Her eyes narrowed and there was a flash of light in her eyes. "I'm from Tianyu Kingdom. My emperor has asked me to come here and meet the emperor of Haitian Kingdom." Chapter 1097, Nanxian's whereabouts. Ivy. Luckily, Haitian Kingdom did not know that Tianyu Kingdom had changed its dynasty. She needed to use Tianyu Kingdom's name if she wanted to enter this kingdom. The imperial guards were somewhat suspicious. "You said that His Majesty of Tianyu Kingdom has sent you. Do you have any proof?" "Proof?" Feng Ruqing thought for a moment. What about the thing that she had given to Qing Han to break the walnuts? Could it be considered as proof? Feng Ruqing took out a jade seal from the medium and handed it to the imperial guard. "This was given to me by the emperor of Tianyu Kingdom for safekeeping. Does this count as proof?" The imperial guards were speechless. Have you ever seen an emperor give a jade seal to someone else for safekeeping? Have you ever seen someone simply taking out a jade seal and showing it to people? Is she not afraid of being robbed? Or is this a fake jade seal? How can you prove that the jade seal is real? The guard continued asking. Feng Ruqing raised an eyebrow. "You don't believe me? Then you can take it for a test." Since she had used it to break the walnuts, it would not bother her if somebody destroyed it. The imperial guards were silent for a moment. "Even if it's true, the emperor has issued an order that we cannot allow any outsider to enter Haitian Kingdom. So please go back." "Oh, all right. Actually, my emperor has asked me to send the spirit herbs to your emperor as a gift. But if you are not interested in this, then forget it. Goodbye." Besides, she had taken the spirit herbs from Tianyu Kingdom's national treasury, and it was just a common type of spirit herbs, so she did not really care about it. But, of course, it was not the case for other people. Haitian Kingdom was just an island. This kingdom had too many people living on too little land, not to mention the spirit herbs mountains. The spirit herbs were too rare to be found here, and no kingdom would allow the outflow of such uncommon spirit herbs. Moreover, Haitian Kingdom did not engage with any outsiders. Hence, it was even more difficult to purchase a large number of spirit herbs from other kingdoms. Now, someone had sent the spirit herbs to them and the imperial guards did not dare to stop Feng Ruqing again. When he saw that Feng Ruqing was about to leave, he became more anxious and hastily shouted out to her, "Miss, wait a minute. Please allow me to inform the general first." The people of Haitian Kingdom were extremely talented, but they could not catch up with the masters in other kingdoms because of the lack of spirit herbs. If they had enough spirit herbs, maybe Haitian Kingdom could be stronger than it was now. Me for extra chapters. The Imperial Guard would be blamed if his action had caused Haitian Kingdom to lose such a chance of gaining this amount of spirit herbs. The 2 Imperial Guards glanced at each other and one of them hurriedly left the city gates and ran toward the city. Feng Ruqing was leaning lazily against a tree trunk with her sinister and cunning smile. Princess, I don't understand, why are you giving these spirit herbs to them? Qingzhu stretched its small head out and asked softly in a deep voice. Feng Ruqing lifted her hand and knocked on Qingzhu's head. You said that the state preceptor is still unconscious, so we can't be too harsh with them. What if those people find out about this and threaten me with the state preceptor? In short, she had to sneak into Haitian Kingdom and find the state preceptor first. If they hurt the state preceptor even a little bit, Feng Ruqing's eyes narrowed again, but now her eyes were filled with murderous intent and her hand was almost choking Qingzhu to death. Qingzhu's eyes were bulging out of its head. After Feng Ruqing had loosened her hand, it cleared its throat and said, Princess, next time when you're angry, can you please let me go first? Don't you forget that I'm still in your hands. It felt like Feng Ruqing had always endangered it. Perhaps one day, it might die at Feng Ruqing's hands. Chapter 1098, Fu Qingjiu, who has been mythicized. Feng Ruqing squinted at the azure snake. In an instant, the azure snake stopped talking, trembling with fear that Feng Ruqing might tighten her grip and strangle the azure snake to death. Not long after, a guard who guarded the city's gate approached them with a middle-aged man in armor. With a majestic demeanor, the middle-aged man emanated hostility. Only when he saw Feng Ruqing, a glimmer of cunning light flashed in his eyes. Maiden, the Emperor of Tianyu Kingdom sent you here? Mim. Feng Ruqing answered calmly like still water. Her eyes had a still, deep calmness like the distant and brilliant starry sky. Maiden, what kind of spirit herbs are you selling? What are the conditions set by Tianyu Kingdom in order to get these spirit herbs? The eyes of the middle-aged man filled with glee. A cunning smile crept across his face, making him look like a fox. Oh, Princess Yulan of Tianyu Kingdom heard that spirit beasts have special affinity with Princess Qingjiu of Haitian Kingdom. Recently, Princess Yulan too is growing fond of spirit beasts. Hence, she has sent me here to check on this. Feng Ruqing stroked her chin. Maiden, I thought the people of Tianyu Kingdom dislike spirit beasts. Why do you want to know how to tame spirit beasts now? A faint light sparkled in General Murong's eyes. He asked with a spurious smile. It is true. However, strong forces are never enough, right? Tianyu Kingdom has never disliked spirit beasts, we are just making spirit beasts our slaves. However, things have changed now. Princess Yulan wants the spirit beasts to willingly surrender themselves to Tianyu Kingdom and the Emperor has agreed to it. That is why I am here today. Feng Ruqing grinned, she seemed to have an unreadable glint in her eyes. Feng Ruqing was right. The people of Tianyu Kingdom had made the spirit beasts their slaves. Had Feng Ruqing not saved the spirit beasts, the entire forest of spirit beasts would have been wiped out. Hence, the people of Tianyu Kingdom must own up to the things that they had done. Ha ha. General Murong's face softened as he let out a boisterous laugh. Maiden, you are right. Forcing the spirit beasts to surrender was not a good idea. Having them surrender themselves willingly is much better. If everyone in this realm could think like this, there would surely be lesser dissensions and troubles. As for the saying that spirit beasts could replace humans, it was a total nonsense. Spirit beasts were merely tools that humans used in the battle, tools that were willing to do anything for humans and would never betray them. Hence, they could never overtake humans. Haitian Kingdom was different from the other kingdoms. The people in Haitian Kingdom treated spirit beasts well and would never scold or bully them, nor would they force spirit beasts to do something. All they needed were the spirit beasts that would never betray them. Me for extra chapters. As the saying went, he who is threatened to obey you shall betray you one day. Well, this snake is a spirit beast too. Haven't you already mastered the skill to tame the spirit beast? General Murong scanned the azure snake that was clinging to Feng Ruqing's arm as he grinned. Feng Ruqing raised her brows and picked up the azure snake by its tail. Oh, you are talking about this snake that is neither fancy nor useful? I saw it lying half dead in the streets, so I picked it up, thinking of making a soup out of it when I have reached home. Both the azure snake and General Murong were caught dumbfounded. General Murong looked at the azure snake sharply. Apparently, the azure snake's strength was not strong. It looked aggrieved, as if it had been forcibly abducted. Now, General Murong was quite convinced by Feng Ruking's words. Chapter 1099. Fu Qingjiu, who has been mythicized to the azure snake's eyes, were full of resentment. The aggrieved tears had nearly fallen from its eyes. Previously, the azure snake had nearly been abducted when the people found out that the azure snake was capable of speaking human language. Naturally, it would not say a word before these humans again. Hence, one could only feel from the azure snake's expression that it was not willingly staying by Feng Ruking's side. Maiden, you can never do this. The spirit beasts get close to Her Highness as she has a special affinity with the spirit beasts. You can hardly master it. Moreover, when you have returned to Qianyu Kingdom, the Emperor would not let you off so easily. General Murong coughed. I see. Can I enter the palace now? Feng Ruqing smiled a little. Yes. Maiden, if you want to get close to the spirit beasts, you must be gentle with them. General Murong stared at Feng Ruqing, as if looking at a spirit herbs mountain. He is right, you must be gentle with us. The azure snake nodded desperately. This snake's spirituality is not bad. You can pet it. You could start by giving it a name. I have gotten a name for it a long time ago. Really? What is the name? Snake soup. General Murong was dumbstruck by Feng Ruking's casual remarks. He looked up at Feng Ruqing blankly. This maiden was truly sent by the Emperor of Qianyu Kingdom to learn spirit beasts' taming skill? Did the Emperor send the wrong person? Perhaps. This maiden could never master the skill. General Murong did not bring Feng Ruqing straight to the palace. Instead, he brought her to the general manor. Just as he stepped into the general manor, he ran into a ruffian teenager. The teenager was handsome. Perhaps he was still at a tender age, he had a youthful appearance. His glossy hair was blood red. Simply no one knew what he had used to dye his hair. It made him look like a ruffian. As the ruffian teenager was hit by General Murong, he frowned. Just as he was about to burst with anger, he saw a stunning lady. With his eyes narrowed, he stared at Feng Ruqing and could not tear his eyes away from her. What are you looking at? Enraged, General Murong glared at the ruffian teenager. Me for extra chapters. General Murong's son was going to marry Princess Qingjiu. How could he stare at a lady like this? Although General Murong was not trustworthy, he was as lecherous as his son. Disregarding General Murong, the teenager's eyes scanned Feng Ruqing from the bottom to the top. Have we met before? No. Feng Ruqing simply looked past the teenager. That's not right. We have met before. I am sure I have met you before. Seeing that Feng Ruqing was about to leave, the teenager hurriedly stopped her. I must have met her not long ago. She looks very familiar. Where did we meet before? The teenager frowned harder and harder. Suddenly, his face changed drastically. The color drained from his face. The mausoleum of the 9th Emperor. Ice coffin. The teenager and his master were the first ones who had found the mausoleum of the 9th Emperor and the first ones who had gone to the mausoleum. There was an ice coffin before the mausoleum. As the teenager's master was too curious, he had pushed open the lid of the coffin. Once the lid was opened, the remains within the coffin disintegrated without a trace. Hence, the people who had gone to the mausoleum after that could only see an empty ice coffin. There was no wonder that the teenager felt that Feng Ruqing looked familiar. Chapter 1100. Fu Qingjiu, who has been mythicized. This maiden looked too similar to the remains in the ice coffin, as if she was actually the maiden in the ice coffin. The only difference was that the maiden in the ice coffin had longer hair. Ghost. You are a ghost. Father, she is a ghost. What did you call me just now? Feng Ruking's face darkened. You are a... Before the teenager could finish his words, General Murong slapped the back of his head. Are you still dreaming? Ghosts have never existed in this realm. This maiden has been tasked by the Emperor of Qianyu Kingdom to send us spirit herbs. If this ruffian teenager had chased this spirit herbs mountain, Feng away, the Emperor of Haitian Kingdom would never let him off. The teenager had finally regained his composure, but his face was still drained of color. It was natural that ordinary people feared ghosts. However, only the cultivators knew that ghosts would never appear in this realm. Once a person died, he would either turn into scattered ashes and dispersed smoke or go through the reincarnation cycle. As for ghosts, there were just the remnant thoughts that strong cultivators left in the human realm with the aim of finding someone who could pass down their strength. Thinking of this, the last trace of fear trickled out the teenager's face. He smiled roguishly. Perhaps this maiden is too stunning and made me think of the gorgeous ghost in my dream yesterday. Regardless of whether this maiden was the same maiden in the ice coffin, it was truly rare to find another lady as gorgeous as this maiden. Hence, this maiden must be related to the maiden in the ice coffin. Oh, Feng said calmly, her eyes were emotionless. A flush of embarrassment rose to the teenager's cheek. There was no lack of ladies who had hit on the teenager in Haitian Kingdom, but there were actually two ladies who took no notice of him, Feng and Princess Qingjiu. Before the teenager met Feng, he had always thought that Princess Qingjiu was the most exquisite lady in this realm. Now, it seemed that Princess Qingjiu was not as stunning as she was before. Perhaps, the teenager was just like a frog that lived in a shallow well as he had never left Haitian Kingdom. Maiden, I am Yang. I haven't learned your name, Feng. Are you betrothed to anyone? Yang, who had always been behaving like a ruffian, had suddenly become a gentleman. Me for extra chapters. Seeing this, General Murong's eyes had nearly popped out of his head. I have children. The corner of Feng Ruking's lips slightly lifted. She smiled so brilliantly. She was breathtakingly beautiful. Crack. Hearing this, Yang could clearly hear the sound of his heart breaking apart. Simply no one knew that Yang had a wet dream the night after seeing the maiden in the ice coffin. He had even been feeling affectionate toward Qingjiu since. Hence, when he saw Feng who looked so similar to the maiden in the ice coffin, although he was frightened, he was overjoyed. However, before a romantic relationship could sprout, it was gone. After all, Yang would never abduct someone else's wife. General Murong subconsciously heaved a sigh of relief as he took a glimpse at Yang. You haven't been meeting Princess Qingjiu for quite a while. Since the weather is good today, why don't you ask her out on a date? You have always been pursuing her anyway. In fact, General Murong was trying to tell Feng that Yang was meant to marry Princess Qingjiu. No one could change this. Father, Princess Qingjiu has always been giving me some nasty attitude. How could I keep going after her? This is absolutely disgraceful. What about my reputation? You really think I have no sense of shame? Yang pouted. Chapter 1101. Fu Qingjiu, who has been mythicized 4-inch, who pursued her every day and had bought off her servant. General Murong sneered. Oh, that was because I used to think that Princess Qingjiu was the most beautiful lady in this world. Now I have realized that I was too ignorant. I should get out of Haitian Kingdom to widen my horizons. Perhaps, I would bump into a beautiful woman out there. By the way, Maiden Xiao Qing, do you have any unmarried sister? Yang stared longingly at Feng. Hearing this, Tang Yin was the first lady who appeared in Feng mind. However, Yang was not trustworthy. Feng did not want to put Tang Yin into trouble. Moreover, one should always keep the goodies within the family. Tang Yin belonged to Feng cousin. What do you think of this male snake? Its name is Snake Soup. It could play with you, warm your bed, and when you are hungry, you could make snake soup out of it. Startled, the azure snake's body stiffened. It had nearly peed. I am not desperate to this extent. After all, Princess Qingjiu is the one I have fallen for previously. I will not lower myself to this level. Moreover, this snake is way too small. It is not enough to fill my belly. Yang took a glimpse at the azure snake disdainfully. The azure snake was dumbfounded. Although it was saved by the bell, it had a sudden urge to cry. Sob, sob. At this time, the azure snake truly regretted knowing Nanxian and meeting Feng Ruching back then. As it could not speak a word, simply no one knew that the azure snake was protesting silently. Maiden Feng, please wait for a while. I will report to His Majesty shortly, General Murong grinned as he said. Father, you may leave peacefully. I will take good care of Maiden Feng. Murong Yang smiled even more roguishly. General Murong was rendered speechless. He did not know why he felt as if his son was paying his last respect. You are going with me. Father, isn't Maiden Feng our moneyspinner? She is here to send us spirit herbs. Oh no, she is here to sell spirit herbs. If we are not caring enough for her, what if she runs away? I must take care of her personally. General Murong pondered for a while. Murong Yang had made a good point. Moreover, Maiden Feng was a married woman. Perhaps, it was not possible for any chemistry to happen between both of them. All right, I will report to His Majesty on my own. Maiden Feng, please wait for me here. General Murong turned his head around and shot a warning glance at Murong Yang. Murong Yang merely whistled. Me for extra chapters. Seeing Murong Yang's reaction, General Murong's legs shuddered and had nearly fallen to the ground. General Murong could not stand seeing Murong Yang's mischievous look. He quickly walked away and disappeared down the street before the general manor. Maiden Xiaoqing, what spirit herbs are you going to sell? Narrowing his eyes, Murong Yang asked as he turned his head around to look at Feng Ruching. Spirit herbs were valueless. Hence, Feng Ruching would not sell them for money. I want to know Fu Qingji's spirit beast's taming skill. Oh, then you don't have to stay here any longer. Those spirit beasts that Qingjiu tamed are low-tier spirit beasts. Other than being pets, they are useless. Murong Yang pouted. In fact, the spirit beasts were not very fond of Qingjiu. However, since it had never happened in Haitian Kingdom before, the people in Haitian Kingdom had mythicized the whole thing. More importantly, it was recorded in the ancient book that was found in the mausoleum that the 9th emperor had created deities of this realm. As she had close affinity with the spirit beasts, she was the one who had brought the ancestors of all spirit beasts to this realm. As Haitian Kingdom had unraveled many secrets, the status of spirit beasts was no longer humble and lowly. The people of the Haitian Kingdom had even mythicized Princess Qingjiu who, similar to the 9th emperor, had a close affinity with spirit beasts. Chapter 1102. Qingjiu the Azure Snake, that could bite isn't Princess Qingjiu the one you have fallen for? Startled, Feng Ruching glanced at Murong Yang. Do I look like a tawdry wretch? You are right. I liked Princess Qingjiu back then. However, I did not fall for her status and family background. No matter how strong her strength is, it has nothing to do with me. I like her merely because she is pretty. Don't compare me against those tawdry wretches. Murong Yang was burning with fury. Dumbfounded, the azure snake raised its head. It did not know why it had a sudden urge to bite this Murong Yang to death, especially when Murong Yang was staring at Feng Ruching. The azure snake could not help gnashing its teeth with hatred. Although the azure snake thought of changing its master earlier, Nanxian was still its master after all. Now that someone wanted to steal its master's lover away, how could the azure snake sit back and do nothing? Feng Ruching rested her chin on her hand. It seems that you have lost interest in Princess Qingjiu. Back then, I had fallen for Qingjiu because of her stunning appearance and kindness. Hence, I had been pursuing relentlessly. However, she had always treated me with negative attitudes. I am tired of this. More importantly, I realize that however pretty she is, there is always someone prettier out there. Qingjiu is not the only pretty lady in this world. Currently, Murong Yang was full of high and vigorous spirit. His red hair was extremely glaring under the sun. Moreover, Qingjiu brought someone back from the mausoleum half a year ago, an unconscious half-dead man. She has been staying by his side every single night. Since she has given her heart away, why should I keep hounding her? Murong Yang too had dignity. In the past, as Qingjiu had not found the one that she loved, everyone had had a fair chance to win her heart. Now that Qingjiu had given her heart away to someone else, even if Murongyang forcibly abducted her, he could only dominate her body, not her soul. That was meaningless. Since Qingjiu was not the only beauty in this world, why should Murongyang dig himself into a hole? Suddenly, Feng Ruqing narrowed her eyes. The azure snake lifted its head. Feng Ruqing's eyes met the azure snake's, a strange feeling growing inside both of them. Half a year ago, outside the mausoleum, lost consciousness, Nanxian? The azure snake too had the same thought. It nodded desperately. There was no such thing as a coincidence. It must be Nanxian. All of a sudden, Feng Ruqing moved forward and grasped at Murongyang's arm. It hurts, it hurts. Murongyang had nearly burst into tears. His stunning face turned green. Seeing this, Feng Ruqing knew that she was too agitated just now, so she loosened her grip. Me for extra chapters. Just as Feng Ruqing loosened her hand, Murongyang took a few steps back and glanced at Feng Ruqing the way he would look at a ferocious monster. This maiden looks so beautiful, yet, she is so strong. She has nearly broken my arm. Snake soup bit me just now and it hurts. When I feel the pain, I would make others feel the same too. Feng Ruqing smiled awkwardly. Murongyang was dumbfounded. Perhaps, you might not even be able to convince yourself of the things that you have just said. I heard of the mausoleum in Haitian Kingdom. I am truly keen, but the half-dead person that you have just mentioned came out from the mausoleum? Feng Ruqing grinned. Feng Ruqing's smiling eyes were frightening. She looked like a vicious and cunning fox. I have no idea. It was Princess Qingjiu who has found him. I haven't seen that fellow. Princess Qingjiu is protecting him so well that none of the people outside the palace could see him, not even His Majesty. There is no way for us to know if that fellow came out from the mausoleum. Murongyang paused for a while before resuming. However, I heard from the servants that this fellow is extremely stunning. He is a man, but he looks way more beautiful than ladies. It is a pity that he did not turn himself into a lady. Chapter 1103, Qingjiu the Azure Snake, that could bite too. As soon as Murongyang finished speaking, the azure snake glided toward him and bit his arm ruthlessly. Ouch! A heartbreaking voice shrieked, pounding up the air above them. The azure snake glared at Murongyang. Then, it turned around, glided toward Feng Ruqing, and hid behind her. Murongyang hissed in pain. Maiden Xiaoqing, your snake is so fierce, it bit me. Feng Ruqing lowered her head as she stroked the azure snake's head. The corner of her lips curved into a smile. Seeing the azure snake defending Nanxian, Feng Ruqing had forgiven it for not informing her about the things that happened to Nanxian in time. It was true that Feng Ruqing was still holding a grudge against the azure snake until now, as everything related to Nanxian had always been a top priority for her. However, not only did the azure snake not tell her Nanxian's whereabouts, the azure snake had even beat around the bush when they met. Oh, I guess Xiaoqing is hungry. Your skin looks so fair and tender. Perhaps, Xiaoqing could not hold back its hunger and bite you. Murongyang's face turned green. Endure. Murongyang must contain his anger. He must not burst with anger before a beauty. No worries, I will get some people to prepare food for it later. Don't let it bite people next time. Murongyang forced a ghastly smile. The azure snake merely snorted and turned its head away. It did not even spare a glance at Murongyang. How dare you humiliate my master? You have actually wanted him to turn into a lady. Well, even if my master really turned into a lady, he would never fall for a bastard like you. Feng Ruqing smiled. She raised her head only to see General Murong walking up to her hastily. Maiden Feng, His Majesty has agreed to exchange your spirit herbs with spirit beasts' taming skill. Well, I have a request. I must meet Princess Qingjiu before this. I want to see if she truly has the capability of taming the spirit beasts. Feng Ruqing grinned, her dark eyes gleamed. General Murong's expression turned ghastly. Maiden Feng, are you looking down on the princess? The princess' capability is beyond question. Me for extra chapters. Everyone in Haitian Kingdom firmly believes in the princess spirit beast's taming skill, but I am from Tianyu Kingdom. Naturally, I must check before the deal. Oh, maiden, to be fair, can I check your spirit herbs? General Murong said with a spurious smile on his face. This time, before Feng Ruqing could respond, Murong Yang snorted. He could no longer hold back his anger. Father, you have gone too far. We must always treat beauty with care and patience. What fairness are you talking about? Shut up. General Murong snarled. This lecher had lost his mind for a lady. He was too unreliable. However, General Murong was different. For the interest of Haitian Kingdom, General Murong must check the spirit herbs. Feng Ruqing smiled faintly, stretched her arm a little, and took out a spirit herb box in her hand. Squinting a little, General Murong took the box and opened it carefully. At this time, a strong spiritual qi flooded out of the box, making him feel refreshed in an instant. This is a grade 6 spirit herb. I do not lack these spirit herbs. However, I will only give them to you when I have finally mastered the skill. General Murong breathed rapidly, a flush rose to his cheek. His hand that was holding the spirit herb trembled and his eyes sparkled with tears of excitement. Grade 6 spirit herb. This was truly a grade 6 spirit herb. Currently, Haitian Kingdom was lacking in spirit herbs. If Haitian Kingdom possessed these spirit herbs, the strength of the kingdom would be greatly enhanced. Chapter 1104. Qingzhu the Azure Snake, that could bite 3-inch maiden Feng. No worries, you can count on me. Let's go. I bring you to the palace to meet Her Highness, Princess Qingzhou now. General Murong's heart was racing as he lifted his blushing face. She must learn the skill as soon as possible so Haitian Kingdom could get these spirit herbs. Moreover, even if this maiden mastered the spirit beast's taming skill, she is only capable of taming some low-tier spirit beasts, similar to Princess Qingzhou, and could hardly affect the battle between the two kingdoms. That was the reason Haitian Kingdom agreed to the deal. Feng Ruqing's face darkened. In fact, the deal was just an excuse for her to step into Haitian Kingdom. However, Feng Ruqing must get into the palace. The state preceptor was waiting for her to take him home. In the palace, a sea of flowers came into full bloom from afar. Feng Ruqing saw a young lady, in a snowy white gauze dress, standing among the flowers. The young lady had a sweet, glittery smile on her lips. Countless butterflies could be seen dancing around her. It seemed that Qingzhou too had seen Feng Ruqing, who was standing not far away. She stopped in her tracks, the corner of her lips slightly lifted. General Murong, I guess this is the maiden Feng that you have told me about just now. You may retreat now. I need to talk to Maiden Feng. General Murong did a fist and palm salute and walked out silently. Then, Qingzhou beckoned the servants to leave. Currently, Feng Ruqing and Qingzhou were the only two persons left in the back garden. General Murong told me that Maiden Feng is an exquisite beauty. Well, he is right. Previously, I have always thought that I was the prettiest lady in this realm. It seems that I was overly confident back then. Qingzhou smiled faintly. Feng Ruqing smiled faintly. Her eyes locked on Qingzhou, who was standing not far away. Since you have asked them to leave, I guess you have something to tell me alone. Qingzhou plucked a lily. A pure smile plastered on her face, as pure as the lily in her hand. She looked as pure as an untainted first love. Since General Murong has brought Maiden Feng here, you might have met the spoiled brat. I could pass down the spirit beast's taming skill to you. However, I want you to marry Murong Yang. Qingzhou smiled. Murong Yang? You mean the redhead? Feng Ruqing looked at Qingzhou in bewilderment. Redhead? Princess Qingzhou burst out laughing. Me for extra chapters. This name fits him well. Murong Yang is a lecher. He will come for you even if you don't seduce him. Maiden Feng, about spirit beast's taming skill, if I refuse to pass it down to you, my father would never force me to do so. Under the brilliant sun, Qingzhou's smile eventually faded. She threw away the lily in her hand and turned her head slowly to look at Feng Ruching. If you want me to be your master and pass down the spirit beast's taming skill to you, you must marry Murongyang. What if I refuse to do so? The azure snake stuck its head out, but Feng Ruching quickly pressed it down. Then, she stared at Princess Qingjiu, smiling. Maiden Feng, you really think the people out there are all fools? The Imperial Jade Seal is extremely important. Why did the Emperor of Qianyu Kingdom give it to you? I heard General Murong said that you have 2 kids. Perhaps, the Emperor is the father of your children. Feng Ruching was dumbfounded. The eldest prince of Qianyu Kingdom is truly ruthless. He would not have allowed your son to live. You may be aware that there is only a princess and no other prince beside the eldest prince. Since you have to live in constant fear with an old coot, why don't you marry a young man, Murongyang? You're tuning in to the Dreamy Chapters YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.